Hi there, it's David John, the Resourceful Coach, and we're going to talk a little bit about today what I call the ball, the club, and me. And the key thing we're looking to do is understand ball flight. Understand what the ball needs to do to get the desired result that you want, how you're going to do that with the club, and then what you've got to do to make that happen. And it's really key that every shot you go to, there's a purpose and idea to your shot. What I see nowadays is there's an element of working on technique, and we're just looking to make a swing, and we hit the ball, and we may go to the driving range and get distances on how far we're hitting it, but we're not really learning what this needs to do. This is the key thing. So we're going to look at two different shots here today. We're going to look at a little pitch shot from just off the green. So we're looking around about 20 yards of sort of fairway stroke rough to get to the green, and then we've got another 20 yards of green to play with. And then we're going to look at, say, a 100-yard shot. And it's starting to understand the flight of the ball and how that works. And this is your starting point. Okay, start to understand what you want the ball to do. So I think because I learned most of my golf on a golf course, that's the first thing I did. I want to get this as close to the hole as I could. There was no real thought about my technique and how I was doing it. It was just finding a way to deliver the club correctly to the ball and create a setup that would do it. And through hitting plenty of balls and learning what the ball was doing, I got to that level. So let's look at the first shot that we've got. We've given ourselves here, as I said, around about, maybe it's a 30-yard shot all the way to the hole. And what do I want to achieve? I want to get this ball as close to the hole as possible. And what I've deliberately done here, we've created a situation where, well, we're just coming to the end of winter here in the UK. The grass is okay, but if we look at it as we move up to the green, it's a little bit muddy because it's that time of year and we've had quite a wet winter in the UK. And then we've got a bit of a ridge here, and then it drops down onto the green. And then you can see I'm just dropping down, and now I've got probably 30 foot of green to get to the hole. So I've got options of what I can do here. And this is what I would say to all of you as golfers. Don't look at it and think there's only one way to play a shot. There are lots of ways that you can play a shot. And it's finding your way to get this ball in the hole in the fewest amount of shots, and decide what you think is the right shot for you, what's going to be successful when you play the shot. So if I looked at this shot and I said, with the conditions that we've got, and I know the green is quite receptive because we're coming to the end of sort of February time, the ball's not going to run on too far. I know I can play a shot with a little bit of loft, not too much, and knowing then the ball will stop reasonably well if I get good contact on the ball. So that's what I'm looking to achieve as I play the shot. We might play this totally differently in the summer when this might be a little bit firmer, the grass might be shorter. I might take something like a 7 or an 8 iron and run the ball up there. But again, that's my experience of learning what the ball's got to do. So these are generally the three clubs when I'm looking for loft around the greens that I will use. I've got my lob wedge, 60 degrees. In this shot, I don't think that's a good option, okay, because I don't need to go that high. So we can discard him, get rid of him, okay. And then I've got my next two options. I've got my gap wedge, which I have a 52 degree Vokey wedge, and then I've just got my standard pitching wedge from my irons, Titleist irons. And it's just now in my mind which suits my eye to play the ball over that ridge, okay. And I'd probably say today the pitching wedge probably going to go a little bit too low, so I'm going to play the gap wedge to get the shot from there. And it's just, again, learning, as we said, what does the ball need to do to get the result that we're looking for. Now, what's interesting when I play these shots from this distance, I'm not really going to change my technique in setup with any of those clubs. I'm going to trust the change in the club to give me the result that I want, whether it's a 60 degree, 52, and my particular pitching wedge would be around about 44, 45. So you can see for me, quite a big gap there, but I've learned to work with that. That's my feeling. I know that sounds a lot, 7, 8 degrees between each club. Some of you may only have 4 degrees, but I like those clubs. That works for me, okay? On this shot, 52 degrees should give me enough loft. And what I've got to understand now is two parts to the ball, the flight and the roll. And what I see people working on their technique, they're not really paying attention to the roll. They're just looking to see, do they strike it correctly to get the desired look of the shot, and then they don't pay any attention to where the ball ends up. And at the end of the day, that's the only bit that matters. Where does the ball end up? So we're looking at the shot, as I said, only around about 30 yards. So the first thing, if you've watched my other chipping videos, first thing I do, which I'm going to turn this way to the camera, is I go narrow with my stance. I don't need power, okay? So now this is the me part, okay? I now need to feel that I'm in control of the club that will control the ball. I've got an idea of the shot that I want. I'm expecting this golf ball to go probably to the eye. It will look like it goes a little bit higher than the flagstick. It will look to land about halfway between the edge of the green and the hole, and it will run out to the hole. That's the idea of the shot. So that's what I want the ball to do. I've chosen the club I believe that will do it. Now I've got to create a setup and a swing that will do it. So you can see the idea. The ball, what does it need to do? The club, I've chosen it to play the shot. And then me, what do I need to do to allow that to happen? And I think if you get that order, you're going to have a lot more success. If it's more about what am I doing with the club and what am I doing, and you're forgetting about the ball, it will take you a lot longer. So think about what you want. I want this ball. I'd love it to go in the hole. That's the goal. What can I do to do that? So as I said, I've narrowed the stance. Again, I'll come back this way, and I've positioned the ball slightly towards my back foot. And the reason for that is I want to feel that I'm making contact with the ball, and any contact with the turf is after the ball. That's what I'm looking to do, okay? So by doing that, narrow the stance, that reduces the power. Putting the ball now slightly nearer my back foot, it feels as if I'm going to hit the ball first, and then whatever loft I've chosen, 52 degrees, is going to help the ball go up. And that's experience of playing the shot and knowing what this club will give me. So let's give it a go. Let's see what we get. And it's just instinct really to start with, to think about what's the power to get it to that hole. Okay. So the biggest thing I do, and again, one of the things that I always say to you, learn from each shot. So I felt when I hit that, I played that in my mind perfectly. Now, what happened to the golf ball? It seemed to stop a lot quicker than normal. So that could have been down to 2 or 3 reasons, okay? Maybe it was a slightly better contact than normal, so I got more backspin on the ball, okay? 2, the conditions, as I said, we're coming to the end of winter, but the greens are reasonably soft. Maybe needed to hit that a little bit firmer on that side. 3, there's a little bit of breeze there, which again may have held it up. But the great thing is I'm not going to look at it and just go, okay, well, that was my result, and get disappointed by it. I'm going to learn from it and see if I can improve it. I still got the ball within 6 feet, so I'd still be happy with that. But I want to get better, so I'm going to see if I can improve it. I know the club's the right one, so I know that part of my 3 things is good. Now let's see if we can change, not so much the flight, but change a little bit of me, i.e. the length of the swing, to get it a little bit further up the green to get the result that I want. Okay. Now that one, again, really nice shot. And what I'm seeing, I didn't see that on the first one, but that ball has really dug into the ground. So that green, again, we had a bit of rain yesterday, is a little bit softer than normal. So what could I do if I learnt from that? Okay. If I'm not getting the roll that I expect, do I make a bigger swing? Yes, I could do. Or could I change the club? I've gone, most people go more lofted. I'm going to go less lofted. Okay, because I'm thinking if I hit it lower and land it in that spot, it should then get a little bit more momentum going forwards. Okay, so I'm not even going to change me. Everything about me is the same. All I've changed is the club. Let's see if we can land it in the same spot. Gone a little bit lower. And I've got the weight right. And on this occasion, I just didn't quite get the line correct. Okay, but I know you're not going to get this chance in a round of golf to do this, but what I have done is learn from that. So again, the practice is good, getting the idea. So we've learned now that now it's the pitching wedge in these conditions. I just need to get the line a little bit better. All of them were within 8 feet, so they're not bad shots. We want to get that feeling, putting those ideas together. So what do I want the ball to do? How do I set me up to do it? I've got the right club. Now make the swing. And that one's rolled down now within 3 feet of the hole. So just by keeping to those 3 simple rules, ball, club, me, I learned from the first shot, my initial instinct was to play to that club, but it wasn't the right result. But that's okay, because I'm open-minded enough to say, change the club, maintain the other bits, and now we see the result that we're looking for. So let's take that idea a little bit further away from the green and look at something maybe around about 100 yards and see if we can learn to do a similar thing with that. So we've brought ourselves back to 100 yards from the green, and we're going to do the same theory. Ball, club, me. That's my little game. That's the way I want to feel I'm playing. So again, through experience, 100-yard shot, play slightly downhill. So this is probably only playing about 95. But like we felt with the shorter shot, we're playing slightly into the wind. And I'd say that's probably increasing now to maybe 105 yards. So again, that now gets an image in my mind of what do I want to do with the flight of the ball. Now, a lot of people, again, they'll just see the number, they'll pull out the club and hit it. But if I'm playing into the wind, the one thing I don't really want to do is get the ball way up into the wind so it sort of stalls and stops in the air. I want to get the ball going through the wind. So what would I normally play? 100 yards, nice summer's day, nothing really to worry about. It would be my 52. But we've now said that wind is coming into my face. So I'm looking at it and think, maybe that's not the best club. So let's take him out of the equation. So I've pulled two other clubs out. I've pulled out my pitching wedge and I've pulled out my 9-iron. And again, just got to look at my numbers. I would say on average, and I know this might seem a bit exact, but I probably hit my pitching wedge nowadays about 112 yards. That's my number. And we're saying this is probably playing 105. And actually, as we're talking, the wind's getting up a little bit stronger. So it's now looking at that and saying, what's the best option from there? So then there's another option. My 9-iron will go comfortably for me when I'm hitting it well, probably about 130. That's my number from that. So again, now what I've got to do is decide on the ball flight. And I like to play lots of 3/4 shots. That's my personal feeling. That's how I like to play golf. Okay, so I'm looking at it and thinking, I know the green's soft because of the conditions, and I know the wind's in my face, and that flag where it's positioned, I'm not going to hit this over the green, even if I take a 9-iron. So I'm actually going to play a 9-iron from this position because I want to keep the ball just that little bit lower as I go through the shot. And also what I want to feel is I'm not forcing the shot. The harder I hit the ball, the more backspin I'm going to create. So the softer I can hit it, the less backspin I'm going to put on the ball, the less the wind's going to affect the shot. So amazingly, I'm going to play this very similar to what I was doing with the pitching wedge onto the green from 30 yards. I'm going to be making a much more controlled swing. So again, back to what we talked about on other videos. Yeah, full power, full width to stance, less power, narrow that stance up. Because again, I want to hit that ball and keep the loft off it. I've chosen the club, but also my setup is going to help me. So you can see I'm thinking of the ball flight. I've chosen the club. I'm now setting myself up to let that club do the job for me. So you can see I'm putting the idea together. This is what we're looking for. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's give it a go. This is all a little bit of learning from here. Amazingly, just as we stand in now, that flag's just died. But I'm going to trust it. I still think there's some wind up there. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit down the club, a little bit narrow in my stance, a little bit back in my stance. And from there, nice rhythmical, think, yeah, what's going to hit this about 105 yards? Okay, slightly pulled it, only to the left side of the green. And I'd say we're probably pin high there. Okay, so I like that. So what I liked about that shot, even though I slightly pulled it, it didn't feel like I had to put a lot of power into it. It felt like I was in control of that, and I can do a better job than that. So that's the key bit that we're looking for. So I'm going to go with that again. I'm looking at my distance. Again, not always easy from 100 yards, but I'd probably say that's 2 or 3 yards short of the flag, just to the left of the hole. Let your instincts take over. So again, ball, I understand the flight. Club, me, trust it. That one's online. Watch it carefully so we can learn from it. And again, shows how wet that green is. I reckon I'm probably 5 yards short of that flag. I'm on the green, but I'm 5 yards short. So I can be a little bit more positive with this. So you can see I'm learning the shot. Okay, so I'm definitely not going to change this club. It's the right club. I've just probably mentally taken a bit more off because I think it's a little bit too much. That wind's picking up. Same idea. Yeah, that's definitely a crisper strike. That feels like it should be too much. And it's pin high. Okay, so we're learning from these shots what I'm getting as I play through. And now I've got the feel, now I've got to trust myself. Okay, I'm happy with the ball flight, I'm happy with the choice of club. Now I've got to commit to that idea, and let's see if we can land this one right up by the hole. Last shot there, I don't think it's more than about 8 feet away, so I'm going to take that every day of the week. Let's see if we can get the line right and that power, stick it right on the flag. Well, it's on line, it's just whether I've got the right power. Felt good. Yeah, well, that's gone a little bit past the flag, but even then I'd say 15 feet. So I'm quite happy with those results. So what I've done there with those shots, I've just learnt as I've gone along what's the right thing, but I've not got away from that process. Ball, club, me. Start thinking about your ball flight, understand what the club's got to do and what you've got to do it, and you'll have a lot more success. And take this into every shot that you play. It's not just about 100 yards in. This is your tee shots, this is your fairway shots, this is shots coming out of trouble. Do it with every club and you'll have so much more fun and you'll have so much more success. I hope you've enjoyed that video. As I said, it's called Ball, Club and Me. And if you did enjoy it, please subscribe, share this with your friends, and I look forward to seeing you soon.